Hello, I'm Ballard, your instructor here at MKT458 Consumer Behavior, California Baptist University. Welcome to the midpoint, week 4. Okay, this week's activities, as you'll find in the Blackboard Learning Center, is reading assignments, chapter 7, 8, and 9. And don't forget to review the PowerPoints that are synced according to those particular chapter readings. A 3-page written assignment detailing how marketing agents, after having carefully collected marketing data based upon consumer behavior, how do they make their decisions? What do they do? How do they advertise? And what messages for which target consumers? All right, a little off-menu class stuff. If we were in a brick-and-mortar classroom, these would be the kinds of things I'd be talking with you about. Let's talk about consumer behavior and what's the big deal. Well, many of you won't remember television in its earliest days, and people would watch in amazement at their favorite television shows would play first in black and white and eventually in color. It was a big deal when color came. I remember it clearly. And right in the middle of an action scene or a romantic part, on would come the blasted commercials. In fact, today, 8 minutes out of every 30 minutes is committed to commercials, and our television show is really only 44 minutes long. We would be on the edge of our seats, laughing at the hillbillies or enjoying Uncle Fester's antics, and then another commercial. It is still the same, right? Well, for years, even still, people think that television is about television shows and about entertainment. It never has been about the shows or entertainment. Oh yes, they entertain us and they capture our attention, but schedule our evenings around them and weekends, and for some, demand viewing during Super Bowl, the World Series, and other noteworthy shows. Television is really about the commercial appeal. What is presented to us in those 16 minutes per hour, usually sequenced in 30-second time slots. My most recent career role has been in the broadcast video business, and with content developers out of Hollywood, and content providers like HBO and NBC, and streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu. When they first came out, it was exciting as could be. And delivery networks including Comcast and Cox and Time Warner, the cable television guys, and of course AT&T and their Uverse, and the satellite delivery networks like Dish, Direct, and soon Elon Musk's Starlink. Over the airwaves, the cables, or the internet, all these players I just mentioned are battling for viewership, measured in eyeballs. Who is watching what, when, and why? It's all about the commercials. That's where the money's at. So this is a consumer behavior hijinks at its best. Greatest spend. Nielsen has long been one of the leading data gatherers and reporting systems that measures viewership and listenership for radio broadcasts. We see here that 60 Minutes commands the top seat. Most viewers on May 9th, 2022, for an hour time slot on Prime Broadcast Network, watched 60 Minutes. Note the tabs, the same kind of measuring information by Nielsen for cable networks and syndicated networks. The programming is ranked by the number of viewers, eyeballs, and prime time and time slots. Most of the viewers during a given day commands prime time cost, prime time, easy for me to say, prime time slots costing the most. The companies spend millions for advertising, and consumer behavior is the driver. This particular slide illustrates measuring, including the data for demographic analysis, and not all shows appeal to the same ethnic group or the same age group, or that's why we have different consumer behavior in different target markets. Just how much is typically spent on advertising? And here we see, for instance, that Procter & Gamble spends $119 million for 28 billion impressions, that is eyeballs, for viewers. Not just any viewers, but Procter & Gamble is one of the best marketeers in the business, the McDonald's of marketing efforts, if you will. They are the pros at learning what makes people tick and what consumers want. and how they want to be reached, what the messaging is. Now, the advertisers jockey for position with broadcast delivery networks and negotiate what they will pay for the airtime during which shows and which time slots. You see here that it isn't about what is showing, a movie or a drama or sports. It's about who is watching what, when, and why, and most importantly, how many people are watching at a given time. These times give a greater return on advertising investment. That is, better times, you pay more money for the best prime time. Take the Super Bowl. Everybody talks about the commercials, and in reality, at a Super Bowl party, for instance, as much time is spent laughing and talking about the new, wildly entertaining commercials than is spent watching Tom Brady win again. And by the way, what's the saying? Like Brady or not, it isn't bragging if you can do it. And he's gone to and won more Super Bowls than most, if not all, quarterbacks. They ain't bragging. Well, where was where was the 18 million viewers watched the Super Bowl in 2015? That is a lot of eyeballs for a 180-minute period of television. 2020 was a low point, followed by 2021, so much so that Pepsi has given up on their coveted favored position as a Super Bowl advertiser. We won't be seeing them broadcasting TV commercials any longer on Super Bowl, but we can be sure that they'll be advertising somewhere else, some other way, through some other venue during the Super Bowl. $6.5 million. Is that a lot or a little for a 30-second Super Bowl TV commercial? That's what the going rate is, and for we consumers, it sounds like a lot. But for the major companies, it's just a budget line item that doesn't cause a ripple cost-wise. And who are the big spenders typically? Budweiser and their Clydesdales, their cute dogs, funny moments and heartwarming stories, all selling us Budweiser beer. You can see the other leaders like Procter & Gamble and Pepsi, Amazon, and Volkswagen. I wouldn't have expected that. And what kind of purchases were made during and following the Super Bowl 55? Cheetos, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Taco Bell, and Budweiser beer. There are other categories as we see here. Ad impressions. How many people happen to watch the commercials? So earlier we say that 18 million viewers watched the 2021 Super Bowl. Who stayed and watched which commercials rather than going into the kitchen for more popcorn? Let's see. Pepsi owns Cheetos, and Pepsi owns Mountain Dew, and Pepsi owns Doritos, and yes, they are big spenders during the Super Bowl, but they also are viewed the most, or nearly the most. This shows a sum total spend during the most recent Super Bowl, and there's a decline from 2018 that 2020 interrupted, and we all know why that was. The rare upside to COVID-19 lockdowns. And we all have enjoyed the latest technologies that bring the Super Bowl right into our living room, as if we were there. Interestingly, the viewership demographics have changed over the years, and it isn't the guys in the living room shouting and drinking beer. Today, women are gaining in Super Bowl viewership, and less for the game, and you got it, and more for the commercials. It's fun. These are just the top few companies spending billions of dollars during a 3-hour window of time on television. The TV show? Oh yeah, the Super Bowl. But make no mistake, television is all about advertising, and advertising is all about consumer behavior. It's not about television program that is showing, and that class is just an example of the importance of consumer behavior from a business perspective. And from my experience in working with all of the players, from commercial developers, content development, and delivery networks, or content delivery networks, I should say, Originally the big guys like ABC and NBC, CBS, and now it's streaming carriers. It's all about viewership. The program itself is close second to advertising. So how much is spent per 30-second slot? And the earnings are great, and the expense is great too.